And just last night, the suspect was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time. In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise.
For 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us.
I was amazed by how many people picked up that both the governor and the FBI director kept mentioning the number 33 in these press conferences. And I know you guys also remember how a guy shot up the 33rd floor of the Blackstone building and ended 4 lives.
He goes up to the 33rd floor, which is route and management, and begins to walk the floor, firing rounds as he traveled. 1 person was struck and killed on that floor. He then proceeds down a hallway and shoots himself in the chest.
These 4 victims included a Blackstone executive as well, but I'm sure you knew that too. But what you probably don't know is that the number 33 has appeared in some other pretty crazy situations as well. For example, 33,000 useless documents about Epstein were released to distract people when the victims were protesting in Washington. The president also hosted a dinner with 33 of the big tech cabal in attendance, including Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and Sam Altman.
You know, we don't often get together as the CEOs of the different companies, but it's good to see everyone.
Surprisingly, Elon Musk was not there. So yeah, I can totally see why so many of you are on your guard as soon as this number is ever mentioned. But there are even more bizarre things about the Charlie Kirk tragedy that have not been explained. I didn't mention the whole mysterious drone situation because at the time, people still thought it could be a bug or a bird, but I think by now it's pretty clear this was a drone.
Apparently there's been a shooting.
The same people who recorded this video also recorded another one where you can see a bird in the frame.
So before we had a flag and
Did you notice a difference? The bird is flying in a random, more organic pattern, and we can see its wings flapping up and down. The drone did not have any of that. Now, people thought it could be a bug near the lens since this thing was flying way too fast, but that explanation has also been rejected since the object was spotted from other angles as well. Now, the question is, what kind of commercial drone is this fast? Well, the answer is simple. This thing is not commercial at all. It is most likely a surveillance drone, and someone was flying it over the campus for a particular reason. What that reason could be, well, we don't know, but I think you can all see why no one is buying this lone shooter argument. But if by chance you're still not convinced that they're hiding something, let me introduce you to some characters who were acting pretty strangely in the aftermath of this shooting. The first person we need to look at is the guy who seemed to be dancing and cheering after the incident. He got a lot of attention and hate, and he even made a video trying to explain exactly what it was he was doing.
My friend reacted in horror, saying Charlie had been struck. His voice and description told me how serious it was. Based on his reaction, I believe Charlie had been gravely injured. I instinctively checked the security team's movement, though I have no affiliation with them. Realizing the situation was dangerous, I stood and shouted USA, not as a provocation, but to project strength, encourage others, and create a distraction that might help calm panic or even save lives.
Look, there is a chance that his actions were misunderstood, but the way he speaks just makes him look even more guilty. However, it's clear that he managed to distract us just like our next character. I'm sure you know about this guy.
we don't know if it's him or not.
For hours, people really thought he was the shooter. But folks, this is George Zinn, and he always finds a way to connect himself with national tragedies.
Now, all you conspiracy theorists out there, I don't want you going crazy, but what are the odds that George Zinn, the patsy that was arrested at the Charlie Kirk assassination, also saw 9/11, he saw the planes fly into the buildings and called that in or reported it, and then he also called in a fake terrorist attack at the Boston Marathon bombing, and just so happened to get arrested at Charlie Kirk's event. So Tess Keyser, she responded to this tweet and she says, Grok is a guy really involved in all three events like this post claims. And Grok fact checks it and goes, based on a review of multiple sources, George Zinn was a witness to the 9/11 attacks and he described seeing planes hit the towers. He was also arrested in 2013 for emailing a bomb threat joke to the Salt Lake City Marathon shortly after the Boston bombing. He pled guilty to a terrorism charge and somehow magically only received probation. He was also detained and questioned as a person of interest at the Charlie Kirk assassination on September 10th, 2025, but released without charges relating to the shooting. Then Grok went on and made sure that it told you, there is no credible evidence that supports claims of his involvement in 9/11's false flag, facilitating Kirk's deaths, or Mossad ties. The main suspect in Kirk's killing is now Tyler Robinson, and he is in custody. So I asked Grok to break this one down for us, and it says so, and it wouldn't give me an answer first. It said it's impossible to calculate. Well, I said use statistical probability and give me a ballpark stat on the probability of him being at all three major events. And it goes through here and it breaks it down. Then we get down here to the very bottom where it combines the probability right here. Combined probability. And it says it is equal to 0.705% or 5 times 10 to the power of 8. That translates to approximately 1 in 2 billion.
And that's not all. George pops up at all kinds of events and causes problems and has been arrested many times. I don't know about you, but his actions make me feel like he might have also been part of MK Ultra. Like, why would he put himself in these positions? He seems like the perfect intelligence asset whose main job is to distract people. Because of these two guys, many people didn't even notice that some people were apparently using hand signals to communicate with someone right before Charlie got hit. We never got any kind of explanation for exactly who these people are and what the hell they were doing. But I don't think Kash Patel was in a position to explain anything. He looked out of his depth throughout all of this. You gotta remember, this guy can talk for hours and usually he seems like a confident man. But for some reason, ever since taking up this job, he looks scared to death whenever he's involved in a serious case.
Sorry about that.
You know what, Maria? Kash is not kidding.
And what's insane is that the FBI agents didn't even bother to show him the photos of the shooter for 12 hours. I mean, how can we say that the FBI is changing when the guy we put in charge has no control over his agents? The only guy who controlled the narrative and the flow of information was Governor Cox, and we all know how Charlie felt about him. Also, some of you kept saying that the shooter jumped from the roof with the rifle in a backpack, and you might be right. However, did we just forget how ridiculous his actions seem? First, he somehow gets on the roof with the gun glued to his leg. He then takes out Charlie from at least 150 yards with just one precise shot and disassembles the rifle within a minute and gets out of there. But then for some reason, he just puts it back together and leaves it in the woods even though someone has seen him in that area. And as if those clues weren't enough, he then for some reason just brags about all of this to people online, even though they are not working with him. Of course, we cannot forget that while he keeps changing clothes, he also wears shoes and glasses that he has worn in many other public photos. Did I mention he changed his clothes?
Yes. So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here at UV.
And let's not even get started on the fact that Tyler looks a lot different from the guy who was on that roof. None of this makes sense, and now people are even suspicious of his father, since according to billionaire Bill Ackman, the father can receive the $1.2 million reward for handing over his son. Look, folks, it's very easy to just believe whatever we're being told, but we cannot afford to do that anymore. They've made a fool of us way too many times, and at some point, we have to look at what's really happening and call out the bullshit right on the spot. That's why I also want to show you something that shocked a lot of people around the world. Here are the hosts of Fox and Friends complaining about the homeless.
Billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice.
Let me show you what kind of solutions they're proposing.
Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something.
Only some of the worst dictators in recent history have been accused of killing the homeless and the mentally ill people in this kind of fashion. And you got to remember, this is the same show where the president broke the news about Tyler's arrest.
With a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody, right? In custody. Everyone did a great job.
Oh, and by the way, one of them also slipped up on live television yesterday.
And then June 14th, these Minnesota legislators were knocked out, were killed.
So these are not some third-grade reporters. They are influential media personalities, and they're painting this picture of the U.S. in front of the world. And we wonder why the whole world calls the United States crazy. Now look, I also think we need to get these really sick individuals off the street, but we cannot just use lethal injection on them if they refuse. This kind of madness is exactly why people were worried when the White House made this announcement.
Far too long, these laws have been completely ignored, and the homelessness problem has ravaged the city.
Many of these homeless and mentally ill people are veterans who are in this state because we abandoned them after they came back. And this sick guy just wants to kill them with lethal injection? What's insane is that he still has not apologized or lost his job for making such a statement. That's the America we live in today, unfortunately. It's insane what's happening in this country and seems to be getting crazier day by day. But I loved your comments on my last video because it tells me that not everyone is blind with hatred. So keep those thoughts and your comments rolling in. As always, thank you for watching today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.